gotten a lot of emails about is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And we've been hesitant to talk about it because there isn't a lot of information out there about it. So just to tell you what we do know through leaked information, the United States is partnering up with countries including Australia, Canada, and Japan. And they're signing something that's kind of hidden under a free trade agreement.
Just explain what the TPP is.
Well, one of the most important things to understand is it's not really mainly about trade. I guess the way to think about it is as a corporate Trojan horse. The agreement has 29 chapters, and only 5 of them have to do with trade. The other 24 chapters either handcuff our domestic governments, limiting food safety, environmental standards, financial regulation, energy and climate policy, or establishing new powers for corporations.
Healthy environment is under attack. No TPP, no fast track. Human rights are under attack. No TPP and no fast track.
So, what is fast tracking?
So in essence, what fast tracking is a power that the president was given under a 1974 law called the Fair Trade Act. The Trade Act of 1974 passed under the Nixon administration. And the idea behind it was that the people who wanted to push that law wanted to strengthen the hand of the president in trade negotiations abroad. So what they did is they gave the president a power called fast tracking. So instead of going through the normal procedure you would go through to get a trade deal passed through Congress, they essentially just transfers all the normal legislative processes to the president himself. So he would set the deal, give it to Congress. There were no amendments would be necessary. It would be filibuster-proof after already being negotiated with by the president abroad, with foreign leaders, with companies. Companies would get to basically do all the things that you and I and our elected representatives get to do, right, and then just be passed with a simple majority.
Congress has exclusive constitutional authority over trade. It's kind of like the Boston Tea Party hangover. After having a king just impose tariffs, in that case on tea, the founders said, we need to put all things about trade, international commerce, in the hands of Congress, the most diffuse part of the elected representation, not the executive, the king. So Congress has all this authority. They're supposed to be exclusively in control, but until this June, they were not even allowed to see the draft text. And it was only after a big great fuss was kicked up by a lot of members, 150 of them wrote last year, that finally members of Congress, upon request for the particular chapter, can have a government administration official bring them a chapter. Their staff is thrown out of the room. They can't take detailed notes. They're not supposed to talk about what they saw. And they can, without staff to help them figure out what the technical language is, look at a chapter.
There are a ton of different scary things in here. As The Guardian points out, top executives at General Electric, Goldman Sachs, Pfizer, other companies like this very likely do have much more information about this deal than the members of relevant congressional committees. That's a little bit scarier.
No corporation, no bank, no politician has any right to cut a deal behind closed doors that hurts us, that impacts our communities, our families, where we live, how we work. Nothing about us without us. Nothing about us without us.
Normally there would be two ways that a trade deal could be organized. One is as a treaty. Mm-hmm. And a treaty requires, what, 2/3 of Congress?
Yeah, by the Senate.
Yeah, two-thirds of the Senate to ratify a treaty. The House is not involved. Mm. And arguably, any kind of deal with a foreign government is a treaty, although more recently we've come to say that trade deals, they're not really treaties, they're just legislation. So it requires a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate. It could be filibustered, it could be amended, it could be debated, it has to come out of committee, right, all that normal legislative procedure. With fast track, all of that's wiped off the board.
Right. And
what would George Washington say about that?
I think he'd be pretty terrified about that. And I think anybody who actually cares about the health of our democracy would be pretty terrified by that.